That is an excellent segue into Brother Chris Dorsey. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Major Irving, and thank you, Mr. Bradley. My name is Chris Dorsey. I'm running to be the next sheriff in the city of Richmond. I'm running because, as anyone with eyes to see and ears to hear knows, that we have a completely 100% corrupt government. And the Richmond Sheriff's Department, under so-called Sheriff C.T. Woody, is no exception. Our jail is a disgrace. It is unlawful. There have been FBI investigations. It violates the law. It's costing taxpayers millions of dollars. And the corruption doesn't even end there. It goes on to hiring policies. It goes on to intimidation of people who have grievances, who work there or have no choice of being there and are mistreated. It's basically a black hole, and when corruption occurs inside that jail, it never comes out, and people's lives are ruined, people's lives are ended, and it is immoral, it is ungodly, and we cannot call ourselves Christians or Muslims or any other religion, or we can't even call ourselves good human beings if we don't do something to stop this now. And the only way to stop this now is to go out and make a change. I have made pledges that my only interests are to serve the people and uphold the law and make sure people are not mistreated. And that includes a citizen on the street who is mistreated by a criminal, but it also includes someone who's smoking a joint out on the street corner and gets put in jail and gets beaten, raped, infected with disease, and then has to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for something that's not even an actual real crime. Same goes with driving on a suspended license. Same goes with not being able to pay a fee or a fine, like, paying child support. This is a business. It's a big business. It's one of the biggest businesses that there is that the government funds. State tax dollars overwhelmingly go to lock people up instead of educating people. I think it should be the opposite. I'm much more in favor of building bigger schools and smaller jails. Now, I heard people saying things about building bigger schools and smaller jails, and certain people are actually advocating for the bigger jails because there's more money in it. And what I'm saying is we need to take the money out of the incarceration system. It is a business, and people are the chattel. People are the cattle. And that needs to stop, because people are human beings, and I would never ever treat an animal like the people are routinely treated at the Richmond City Jail. It's not right.
And on that note, because you have laid out the issue, how would you fix those inhumane issues? How would you address them? Take a couple of them, but how would you address some of them that you spoke of to end that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bradley. The way I would address them and will address them is that there needs to be 100% transparency. For example, it is illegal, but not unlawful, it is illegal for people to videotape the court proceedings that wind people up in jail and I can say I watch court trials down at the John Marshall Court Building, and I watch court trials on Hall Street, and I see people who are dragged from a cell. I see a Commonwealth's attorney talking to a public defender and talking to the judge, and these people are sentenced to huge amounts of time in jail, and they don't even know what's going on. And the people, they don't have any idea either, because all of this is done in secret. All of this is done in secret, and the killings. So we can say, okay, well, people get put in jail, and it's done in secret, and that's fine. We need to have videotape in the courtroom. We need to have videotapes, and they need to be available to the public in the actual jail as well, because people are being put in strip cells and winding up dead.
Now, with that, who controls that? I mean, I'm trying to figure out, well, no, let me back up with this, because what is the responsibility of the sheriff? Does the sheriff have that responsibility to be able to do that?
The sheriff is the top constitutional law enforcement officer in the city. The Constitution protects everyone's rights. The Virginia Constitution says all power is vested and therefore derived from the people. The United States Constitution says that in redundancy. Now, if it's never happened before, why don't we start doing this now? I say all power to the people. All power to the people. End corruption. It's very easily done. We could do it in days if there wasn't so much resistance.
So, and I'll move on. So, the sheriff would have the responsibility of law enforcement to incarcerate or not to incarcerate.
What I'm saying is the sheriff is elected by the people. The judges aren't elected by the people. The police chief is not elected by the people. The sheriff is elected by the people. The judge doesn't have the key to the jail. The police don't have the key to the jail. The sheriff has the key to the jail. The sheriff escorts the incarcerated individuals from the courtroom into the jail. And what I'm saying is all power is vested and derived from the people. I'm making an oath to the people, a solemn oath. You are in charge of me. You are in charge of me. And the sheriff controls the jail and the guns. And the current sheriff and the sheriffs all around the, every locality around this city and around the country, they don't make an oath to serve the people. I'm only interested in serving the people, upholding the Constitution, honoring the truth, and honoring God. We'll say it. We need to be more godly because, the God I serve, it doesn't allow these sort of things. He doesn't allow these sort of things to happen and just have, people say, well, there's some corruption and it's too bad for these people. I'm commanded to stop these things. And I'm going to do everything I can to stop it. And then when I think I can't do any more, I'm going to do more on top of that. And all I have to do is serve the people. It's very simple. I have lots of ideas. And I have lots of actions that I've taken over the year to pull the veil off of all of this corruption. All this corruption has been talked about for years. I know because people have told me, and then I've said it on these very airwaves.
With the new jail, and you've already addressed this part, with those that are mentally disturbed, how would you address those? Because there's, like Major Irvin was stating, and even C.T. Woodard in reference to whether they should be in jail or not. How would you address that type of situation?
Thank you, sir. What I'm saying is, I would say that mental illness is somewhat of a relative term. Now, I'm saying that I know people who have been in that jail, who have been marked as mentally ill, but that's not really a crime. A crime is a very specific act. One has to harm an individual or steal property, and there are a couple other things that could be an actual crime, but being someone who's got different ideas or has some sort of birth defect or mental retardation, I think that's something that hasn't really been addressed. and that is very sad, and kind of gets back to the people who are shuffled through that jail and they don't even really know what's going on, that there are many more people in there that are non-violent, people, non-violent human beings, non-violent American citizens that are in that jail than, I would say, people who are mentally ill and, kind of violently psychopathic. I'm saying that there are a lot of people that, and I'll actually go further. I will say most, and definitely more than 50% of the people in that jail need to be released. And if we are going to uphold the law, and I say we must uphold the law, that jail must be shut down immediately. This is another thing I haven't heard during this campaign. The Richmond Juvenile Detention Center, that was shut down because of human rights violations. As far as we know, there have been, not many deaths, or much less deaths than happened at the jail. So under the law, since one facility was shut down, definitely the other facility, and I'm talking about the Richmond City Jail, under the law, because it violates Amendment 8, and it violates many other parts of the law, must be shut down. We need to shut this down, because not only are people being held there that have committed crimes in the city of Richmond, who are Richmond citizens, but that's used as a warehouse space, because there's big money in warehousing people from out of town. So why don't we as citizens of the city of Richmond say, hey, we're not going to be known as having the biggest torture chamber jail in the history of the United States. We're actually going to shut this jail down, and we're going to have a court system where we go through and we take our individuals who live in the city of Richmond, and we have a long, hard thought about who belongs locked up in a cage and who does not belong locked up in a cage. And we're actually not going to lock anybody up in a cage, but we will separate the real criminals from society. People who know me, they know I don't take any nonsense. They know if they're with me, that I've got their back. They know with me, if somebody messes with them, that's a bad move. And if somebody messes with the people of the city of Richmond, and all the crooks from C.T. Woody to Dwight Jones to Jeff Lacker at the Federal Reserve Bank to Tom Farrell at Dominion Power, they're messing with my people. And that's not a good move for them.
That's right.
So all I have to say is, you have a simple choice. If you want to keep getting abused, if you want to keep being, paying these outrageous fees, and if you don't pay them, you wind up in the clink, keep going along the same way. I'm not going down like that. My folks aren't going down like that. And we're going to do something to stop it. Enough is enough.
Dorsey of Virginia Militia. Thanks for watching. Please support the militia. Peace and God bless.